What's up guys, my name is Amy Dangerfield. Welcome to my channel. I'm super excited to be making this video after a nearly 3-year hiatus. I used to post a lot of content relating to the fintech space, the foreign exchange markets, but I don't necessarily want to create content revolved around those industries anymore. What I want to talk about is much more important than just money and its accumulation. It's no secret that we live in a world where algorithms shape so much of our online experience. Social media platforms suggest content to us that they believe we will find interesting or engaging. While this can be helpful and convenient in many ways, it can also result in a kind of echo chamber where we're only seeing content that reinforces our existing beliefs and perspectives. Or in my case, it can also create a sense of isolation when your beliefs don't necessarily align with the prevailing narrative. And that's how I felt. Unfortunately, I see a dangerous trend in our society towards indoctrination. Indoctrination that is including, but not limited to, sexualization and medicalization, especially when it comes to the younger generation. As someone who has experienced childhood trauma and seen the corrupt sides of certain institutions, this is an issue that is deeply concerning to me. Recently, I was a guest speaker on the Fresh and Fit podcast, and I had never seen their content before, so I had no idea what to expect, but I invited a couple of girlfriends to come on with me. They were very, very familiar with the podcast, and they were concerned about being dragged by the hosts and, worried about being portrayed in a negative light.
But still, you're cheating with the mind.
What does that have to do with boobs out? What is cheating in the
Because
mind?
you're not letting your girl showing her boobies.
After being on the show, I can honestly say that the guys really don't need to try very hard to achieve that goal. The last thing that I want to do is disparage the women. We had really great conversations before and after the show. I thought many of them were lovely people, but I fundamentally disagreed with pretty much everything they said, and surprisingly actually found myself in agreement with pretty much everything that Sneako and the guys were saying. I was impressed by their willingness to ask difficult questions and to challenge the modern popularized beliefs. Again, I wasn't familiar with their podcast or the red pill genre, and so I was really taken aback and shocked to see how many people resonated with some of the ideas and the viewpoints I was sharing, despite discussing some pretty controversial topics. Because of the now societal norms or what women are saying that they define empowerment to be, men who are trying to go along with that rhetoric, to me, that's the definition of toxic masculinity because of what they're perpetuating. And I think that's what's actually going to affect generations to come.
So do you think that the guy paying for OnlyFans is toxically masculine, or the guy that's against it or judging it?
The guy who pays into it.
Okay.
Oh.
So a simp, you would say toxic masculinity is being a simp?
Yeah.
Okay.
As someone who's always been drawn to alternative viewpoints and ideas, I've often found myself questioning the mainstream narrative, especially when it comes to cultural issues. It can be difficult to express these thoughts publicly, which is why I haven't. But after seeing so many once deemed conspiracy theories turn out to be true, you have to admit that there's probably some stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't fully understand.
I hear a lot of this from liberals, but what do you think is the biggest problem that needs fixing?
I think that there's a lot of really sinister, if we're going to get deep, there's sinister stuff going on in Western society. You look at other societies and it's very blatantly obvious what's going on. I think with Western society, it's much more diabolical.
If you look at there was conferences where billionaires sat together and they were started preparing, they were outlining how they were going to keep us compliant. They're starting to prepare us to have, you were talking about having a carbon footprint and how much money we can spend and how we can have woke points and a social score.
There's a lot of agenda. There's a lot of shit behind the scenes.
So have kids somewhere else.
True, I absolutely could, but also there's a whole globalization thing. I'm definitely a big believer in individualism, but that's not where the world's heading.
If you look at what's happening in China, it's pretty much what's going to happen in the next 5-10 years in the West, because all the government control that we thought was crazy happened in the West. And China right now, you can't even go on certain roads if you don't scan a QR code in the sky and show that you have a vaccine passport. That's the real thing that's happening. They are still quarantining people. They have giant tents where they're testing everybody. They are trying to keep us all as controlled as possible. They want to limit the food supply. They just ultimately want to keep us as slaves.
I hear a lot of this from liberals, but what do you think is the biggest problem that needs fixing?
I don't know. Sneako, whatever could be the issue. Before I was officially exposed to the red pill, and I say officially because I was already pretty acquainted with many of the topics, but before I was officially introduced to this genre, my understanding of the term red pill, probably like most people, was limited to its use in the movie The Matrix. It represents a choice between seeking the comfortable truth of the status quo, the blue pill, or seeking the difficult truth of reality, the red pill. To me, the red pill is about questioning everything, even your own beliefs and assumptions, especially your own beliefs and assumptions. It's about understanding the evolutionary psychology that drives human behavior and the social structures which govern our lives. It's about understanding the chaos and order that coexist in the world and finding ways to be able to navigate both. As someone who's been studying some of these issues since I was a teenager, I can attest that it can sometimes be a little bit of a dark and sinister path to tread. While knowledge is certainly powerful, there's also a lot of negativity associated with some of the ideas and perspectives explored in this realm. And for years, I just had to put all of this behind me and focus on my own personal development. I believe that being a self-aware and responsible human being is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without that awareness, it's so easy to get swept up in the chaos and the confusion of the world. But if we can stay grounded in our values and principles, then we can navigate the changing political parties and the culture wars and the chaos without being shaken. Since the podcast, I've been tuning into a handful of creators, a very diverse bunch, who've been making waves, and I believe that the discussions that these creators are having are both important and necessary. I'm still cautious about the potentially negative aspects of this world, but I feel compelled at this point to add my voice to the conversation. I may react to some of the content that I come across. I may have some guests on and interview them. I'm not really committing to a specific schedule or format at this point, but this is a journey that I'm really excited to go on, and I really hope you guys come along for the ride. So join me as we discuss red pill philosophy, male and female dynamics, the culture war, a lot of that. But most importantly, above all else, just the pursuit of knowledge and truth. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to my very first video. It's the first of many. Go ahead and do all of the things that people usually say at the end of the YouTube video. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and leave me a comment. Actually, please leave me a comment for real and let me know what you want me to talk about in upcoming episodes. So that's it for this video. We did it. It's done. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys. You sound different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nerd.